In this video, we are going to work through this example. It says write a program that prompts the user to enter the radius and length of a cylinder. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So radius equals, and then let's do this as a float. And then it was the length. Okay. All right, so the program should contain two other functions, one to compute the area of a circle and the other to compute the volume of a cylinder. Okay, it says the first function should have one parameter for the radius and then compute and return the area of the circle. All right, so that's the base, right, of the cylinder. All right, so let's do that. All right, so this is compute area, has one parameter, which is the radius, right? So let's call it rad. And then we are going to return math.pi times the radius squared. Okay. Seems okay. All right, so that's this one. It says the second function should have two parameters, one for the area of the base and one the other for the length. Okay. So area and length. Let's call it that. And we need to use this formula, the area times the length. Okay. All right. It says, okay, the program should use both functions. Okay, and the program should display the results to the user. We already used these formulas. All right, and so here's the sample run. It says enter the radius of a cylinder, enter the length of a cylinder. All right, the area of the base is 95.03 units. Okay, so let's add that part where we print the results. The area of the base is, let's see, so it looks like they round that to 2 decimal places, and really it should be square units, right, since we're talking about an area. And we can easily get that right with our compute area function. Okay. Oh, I forgot to close this off. So enter the radius of a cylinder, enter the length. Okay, I need to import math, right? Forgot to do that. Okay, so there we go. That's working fine. All right, next up it says we need to do the volume. Okay. So print the volume of the cylinder is, and then blank point, maybe that's 1. It looks like it's running at the 1 decimal place. That would be in cubic units, right? Dot format. Okay, and so now what do we want to put in the blank, right? Here, obviously, we want the volume, right? So we're going to use the compute volume method. To use the compute volume method, we need to supply an area and a length, right? So we need to either do one of two things. The length we have directly, right? But we don't really have the area here, right, at all. So one of the things you could do, right, is to do this again. Although you are kind of repeating yourself, right? We can put the radius in here as well. So what will happen here is that when this statement is executed, it will call the compute volume method. But before it does that, it will have to call this compute area radius method, okay? And that will get the area and put it in here because that's what's required of the compute volume. Now, why was it set up that way? Well, that's what they told us to do, right? You might argue and say, hey, why wouldn't you just put radius here instead of area? Okay, but that's what the statement of the problem wanted. And that's a design issue. You might say, hey, I feel like it would be better if you just had radius right here. And you're probably right on that. So, but anyway, that's what they asked for. So let's test this out with the test case that we were given, 5.5 and 12. Alright, looks pretty good, except it didn't round it to 1 decimal place. That's because I forgot a decimal point right there, right? So we'll try it again. Alright, that looks pretty good. One thing that you might do here is you are actually repeating this calculation, right? Twice. This is a really small program, so it doesn't probably really matter that much. But it is a good practice to not repeat yourself. That's the DRIVE principle. Don't repeat yourself. So what we could do to not repeat ourselves, right, is to just compute this once. Right, and then just save it in a variable, right, instead of computing it twice. So compute it once and then save it, and then do it this way. All right, that's about it for this example.